looking live right now outside of the Milwaukee County Courthouse. Now, this is a group of Latino activists. They're protesting the arrest of Judge Hannah Dugan. And as you'll remember, the FBI arrested Dugan Friday for allegedly trying to help an illegal immigrant evade ICE. She allegedly let Eduardo Luis Flores outside of a door. It was a private door at the jury room. People don't go in and out of there. Defendants certainly don't. But in this case, Eduardo Flores Ruiz did. That's what the government's telling us. He's facing charges for almost beating his roommate to death and punching his girlfriend in the head. He was in the criminal courtroom for that reason when he was let out. Now, Judge Dugan knew those details, yet she's accused of letting him escape through that door, and the left ignored those facts. And instead, what did they do? They quickly defended the judge while blasting the Trump administration for the arrest.
Now they're arresting judges, and the first felony criminal charge brought against Judge Hannah Dugan in Wisconsin is interfering with a legal proceeding, which is essentially what they've been doing all along.
I think this was a distraction from the first weakness on the economy.
If federal enforcement agencies come to your courtroom and you help a guy escape, that is two things. One, it strikes me as maybe something illegal, but it also strikes me as something heroic.
The arrest of the judge in Wisconsin, again, not isolated, felt jarring.
They relish the opportunity to go after judges.
It's not like we didn't know it was going to be terrible, and it is terrible. He really did have a judge arrested today, arresting a judge today. Are you kidding me?
But not so fast. I thought no one was above the law.
No American is above the rule of law. The same rules apply to everyone.
No one is above the law.
The basic concept of the rule of law in our history has been the idea that no one is above the law.
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 So that was all for Trump, but the illegal immigrants, they are above the law for these leftists. Interesting how the tune has changed. But Borders Czar Tom Homan is standing firm.
I can't believe there's any elected official, and especially a judge, that doesn't believe we should be doing that, and they should be helping us. What I said from day one, you can sit aside and watch, you can argue against us all you want and protest all you want, but when you cross that line, and I've said this 1,000 times, when you cross that line to impediment or knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien from ICE, you will be prosecuted, judge or not.
Hey everyone, it's Nolan Alders. Welcome back to the channel where we cut through the noise and get straight to the truth, guys, without the leftist spin. Today, we're diving into an absolutely jaw-dropping story. I've already covered this on the channel, but I've got the latest updates for you out of Wisconsin. A judge arrested for allegedly helping a violent illegal immigrant escape ICE. You can't make this stuff up. Now, before I break this down, guys, let's roll the clip so you can see exactly what's happening here. Then we're going to tear this apart. We're going to get into the facts that the media doesn't want you to hear. Check it out.
Emily, the facts of this case are shocking. I was filling in for Laura Friday, and her team did a great job in getting the arrest report for Luis. And here's what they found. He intentionally, without consent, struck someone multiple times in the body and face, causing pain and scratches during a verbal argument. And in fact, grabbed the guy's neck so the person couldn't breathe for 6 seconds is the allegation, and then went to hitting a woman. So this is the individual the left wants to defend, and the judge wants to let out the back door.
I would have prosecuted that for attempted murder, by the way. If you're choking someone out for 6 seconds plus, that's attempted murder. I will say this. The fiction brush with which the media is using and these sobbing liberal talking heads are using, they are totally isolating and saying, a judge was arrested. Correct. And we've seen in this country, irrespective of vocations, plenty of people arrested for felonies similar like that. It doesn't matter what your day job is, guys. What matters is your behavior. And if you engage in felonious or illegal conduct, you're going to be arrested. It is laughable to me that they are somehow insinuating, and their hundreds of viewers are thus receiving the message that a judge was arrested for refusing to comply with President Trump's or the law enforcement agency's executions of the orders. That's not what happened. A judge was arrested for breaking the law. And I would love to see, final thought, an interview, not with talking heads or bleeding liberals or any of these people, but I would love to see the interviews of those two victims, the one who was almost beaten to death and the girlfriend, so they can testify as to how it feels to have the perp be let free because someone has a conscience. I find it despicable.
Molly, this isn't the first time this happened. I was really struck by this passage from NBC. Here's what it said. In 2019, during Trump's first term, the U.S. attorney in Boston charged a Massachusetts judge and a court officer with obstruction of justice for allegedly aiding an undocumented immigrant in leaving the courthouse through a back exit to avoid arrest. But listen to this. Prosecutors reached a deal to drop the charges in 2022 under then-President Joe Biden's administration, with the case instead going to review at the State Judicial Commission. So President Biden just let this person off.
Yeah, this is fascinating. It started out in 2018 when Judge Shelley Joseph was accused of working with the court officer in her courtroom to help an illegal immigrant who was there in her courtroom that day, a Dominican man that was facing drug charges, slip out of a Sally Port door. It took weeks for ICE to catch up with that individual. In the case with Dugan, they got him down the street immediately that day. In this case, the individual was on the run for several weeks at least. Ultimately, she was charged. This judge in Massachusetts, Shelley Joseph, was charged. It was conspiracy and obstruction of justice charges. She went in and out of the federal courthouse, reporters all around. Those charges, as you mentioned, were dropped, and she went to this judicial commission where she was ultimately put forward as willful judicial misconduct by the commission that's looking at this case. It's fascinating. And Lelling at that time had said, this is the most fascinating part, that he does not believe that this was the only case. He believed there had been other instances potentially that had occurred.
Wow. And you had...
No, I was just going to say, this Judge Dugan, I thought the ICE and DEA agents had an arrest warrant for the illegal.
They did.
They did.
That's why they went there, and she put them down the hallway.
It was an administrative warrant, yeah.
So therefore, her job is not a judicial decision, certainly not an ideological, political decision. All she had to do was administer the warrant.
Right.
So therefore, she's in a heap of trouble. I don't know how anybody can argue against that, just a simple fact. They can't. You walk in, here's your warrant. Under Section 287G of the Immigration and Naturalization Act, the local officials are permitted to work with the federal agents. So the federal agents did everything according to Hoyle. It was the judge who spoiled the party and let him out the side door. And my last point is, I wanted to meet the ICE agent who beat him on foot.
Look,
he could run a 220 or a 440.
Yeah, it's impressive.
He could be an Olympic type runner.
The 287G is the very part that sanctuary cities and jurisdictions are frustrating right now.
Right.
That's the part of the law that they're stepping on. That's why it's such a big deal.
That's why.
To make a point of we're going to do it differently now. You're actually going to have to follow the law.
She can't interfere with that. None of
we don't even need new law on that.
That's
one.
right.
We just need for them to do their jobs.
That's my point.
So, the big part, and I so appreciate what Emily said. She would have prosecuted this for attempted murder because the guy was choked out for 6 seconds. He was deported in 2013. What was he doing here?
Yep.
I mean, this is disgusting. How many times are we going to face a situation where we have had time and time again to get somebody out of the country before they commit more violence? But this is important, too. What happens if that individual goes out? You said in another case, it took them weeks to get the guy. This one, they got in a matter of minutes.
He had been previously deported as well.
But in this case, what if that guy had gone outside and hurt somebody else? Can we sue the judge? Can there be civil judgments against the judge and anybody else in that hallway who was holding at bay the ICE agents while she allegedly scurried the illegal immigrant out the door? He's already broken our law more than once breaking into this country. She wants to reward him, fine. But if there's a crime that he commits, it's not only on her watch. I say it's on her watch to go to prison for it.
Plus those other judges, in my opinion, they've abdicated their duty 100%. The ones that are refusing to adjudicate in solidarity with this individual, fine, you're done. You're no longer a judge. Anyone who does that is no longer a judge.
She should be immediately dismissed from the bench.
And if they commit a further crime,
and the bar,
she's on the hook for it.
And
too.
The safest place for ICE and law enforcement to conduct an arrest like this is in a courtroom, because the guy doesn't have a weapon. So you're literally putting law enforcement in danger by sneaking an illegal immigrant out the door.
Guys, if you believe in law and order, if you're tired of watching this two-tiered justice system unfold, go ahead, do me a big favor, guys. Hit that thumbs up like button right now. It helps this video reach more people who need to see what's really happening here in America. Now, let's just lay this out very clearly. Judge Hannah Dugan, a judge, was arrested for allegedly helping a violent illegal immigrant sneak out the back door of her courtroom to evade ICE agents. And who was this illegal immigrant? None other than Eduardo Flores Ruiz, a man accused of nearly beating his roommate to death, punching his girlfriend in the head. Guys, this isn't jaywalking. These are violent felony-level crimes. And the judge, fully aware of his criminal background, allegedly helped him slip through a private jury room where defendants are never supposed to go. She let him out like it was nothing. ICE was ready. Warrant was in hand, doing everything by the book. And this judge, who has sworn to uphold the law, interfered with a lawful arrest. Now, I love it, because look at the left's response. The same people who screamed for years that no one is above the law when they were going after Trump. They're now defending the judge. They're out protesting her arrest, acting like she's some kind of hero. Guys, give me a break. You see, no one is above the law, except illegal immigrants, except activist judges, except anyone who supports their political agenda. That's what they're really saying here, guys. And we've got to hold them accountable. And here's what makes this even more disgusting. The courtroom is the safest place for ICE to make an arrest. No guns, no violence, controlled environment. By sneaking this guy out the back door, Dugan didn't just break the law. She endangered law enforcement officers, and she endangered the public. What if he had attacked someone else outside? Would the judge be held responsible? Well, she should be. And don't think this is a one-off, guys. This is not an isolated case. I know I've made several videos on this now, but remember Judge Shelley Joseph in Massachusetts during Trump's presidency. She was caught helping an illegal immigrant escape too. Charges were dropped under Biden. Pattern recognized. The radical left has decided that ideology matters more than your safety, more than the law, more than justice itself. Guys, you got to ask yourself, if this was your family member who was beaten, if this was your daughter who was punched in the face, would you be okay with a judge helping the attacker run free? Of course not. This is infuriating. And it should infuriate every American who still believes in the rule of law. This is about more than one judge, guys. It's about a system that's rotting from within. Judges who defy the law, sanctuary cities that harbor criminals, politicians who turn a blind eye while citizens pay the price. And guys, it is up to us to stand up and say enough is enough. Now, guys, I want to hear from you. Should Judge Dugan be permanently removed from the bench? Should she face serious prison time like any other American would? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below, guys. I'll be reading and responding to as many as I can. Guys, if you're new here, hit that thumbs up, like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single update. We're going to keep exposing the truth no matter how uncomfortable it makes the left. And if you want to take it a step further and support the channel, consider becoming a channel member today, guys. It helps keep this voice loud, clear, and growing. Guys, I couldn't do without you. I appreciate everybody. Thanks for watching. And remember, in America, no one is above the law. Not judges, not politicians, not illegal immigrants, period.